Wanna talk? So let's talk. Here. Talk. You wanna talk? You gotta talk, you need to talk. News talk.
I talk, you talk to Solomon. I talk, you talk to Solomon. Yeah, let's talk to Solomon. Talk to Solomon.
You gotta talk, you wanna
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Talk to Solomon on a terrible day because of what happened yesterday in Boston, Massachusetts. My co-host, Chief Steve, will be with us momentarily. In the meantime, we are glad to have with us Larry Pratt, Executive Director of Gun Owners of America. Larry, how are you?
Just fine, thank you. Good to be with you. I'm actually in Durango, Colorado as we speak.
Well, it's a day when flashes of 9/11 are coming back to me. When that attack took place, while it was happening, I was in a restaurant. I was fuming. I was cursing. I was throwing things. And everyone around me felt exactly the same way. And those feelings came back with what happened yesterday. Now, your focus is on guns, and the lack or presence of guns didn't stop that terrorist attack. But I think that the impact of a terrorist attack where we saw defenseless men, women, and children attacked would make even the liberal lunatics in Boston less likely to say, let's just disarm and hope the police can protect us, because that was a terrible example of try as they might, brave as they are, focused as they are, it's not possible to protect all the people all the time.
Well,
Correct?
I hope they have that reaction, Stan. That's what you and I think would be the right reaction. But I remember that in New York City years ago, after a couple of tourists were murdered by a knife-wielding assailant, the next day, the mayor, Dinkins, had a news conference saying that this shows why we need more gun control. So let's hope you're right, but until I hear it from their own mouths, I'm not putting that one in the bank.
Well, I agree with you. I think I said you would hope that even the liberal lunatics in Boston would understand, but that doesn't mean that they will.
Right. We're in agreement.
Okay, now, by the way, Chief Steve joins us. Welcome, Chief.
Good evening. Good to see you, Larry.
Hi, good to see you.
Let's talk about the gun bill, Obama's gun bill, that I can't believe you're going against the American people and not voting for this bill. From my perusal, not as good as yours, Biden said they're 2 votes short, which means they're probably 5 votes short, and I don't know that there are that many shorts around.
Actually, that probably comports. It may be different people. He's not saying who is in his vote count, and we're not saying who's in ours, but that's pretty close arithmetic. This is a close issue, and when it gets that close, it's very concerning, because it means the bribe-a-thon is now open for business, and that is precisely why we tried to convince pro-gun senators not to just give it a chance to have a vote, because there's a lot more to it than that. The process is such that you kill that snake on the filibuster, on the vote to continue the filibuster, what they call a vote for cloture. And if you vote against cloture, you vote against shutting off debate, then you very likely have just killed the bill. But here we are. Now, there's something interesting about this. Both sides are equally leery of the next step. Harry Reid set this whole procedure up so that it would be every vote needs 60 votes for his side to continue. That's kind of unusual. But here's, I think, the deal. We know that McConnell is very likely, if not certain, to take a measure that Senator Thune has put in for several years now, to make it so that concealed carry can be treated like your driver's license. Get a permit in one state, you're good to go in any of the states of the country. So that even if you were to visit New York City with your concealed carry permit, you'd be fine as long as whatever the restrictions are in New York City, which actually they're probably about the same as other places. It's getting the permit that is almost impossible in New York City. So you could have a convention of people from, say, Wyoming in New York City, although I'm not sure why they do that in New York City. But let's just say that a group of folks from Wyoming came into New York City. That's one of the 4 states right now that doesn't even require a permit to carry a concealed firearm. So as long as they have their Wyoming driver's license with them, they could be walking around packing heat, concealed perfectly legally in New York City. And my guess is that if you had a sign outside that hotel saying Wyoming visitors at this convention, the neighborhood probably get pretty safe. But this is what drives them nuts. This is why Harry Reid was trying to prevent a vote on something like the Thune concealed carry bill from prevailing, to require it to have 60 votes, because it probably has a majority of the senators supporting that measure. So he set it up for that defensive, with that defensive idea in mind, but at the same token, he's made it harder for his side to prevail and made it easier for us once we can find any way to give 41 senators, 42 senators some backbone. That's it. And if we get any Democrats to join us, it's all over.
Well, I would say to you that I don't know Harry Reid, and I'm glad to say that I don't. And I'm not involved like some of the left in bugging people's offices, but I don't think Harry Reid wants this to pass. I think he is not for it anyway. I think he wants to protect his majority, and he knows if this passes, however, in whatever way, that his quote-unquote moderate candidates in red states are toast.
When you put it like that he's not for it because of that raw political reason, you very well may be right. And I think that would be an additional reason for him to want that 60 vote threshold for any of the votes. And that means that we have at least a fighting chance. We've got Mitch McConnell on our side this time, and that's kind of interesting in itself. And it tells me that the possibilities that he may face a Tea Party challenger in his primary means that Mitch McConnell's behaving like a conservative Republican senator rather than the rhino leader of the Republicans in the Senate. This is really nice. We welcome him with open arms, and we invite him to stay as long as possible.
Well, I think that McConnell is concerned about re-election. I don't think he's worried about a primary from a Tea Party person, but I do think he's worried about the Democrats because one thing moderate Republicans always find is they lose to Democrats because moderate Republicans offer nothing to the Republican side, and the Democrats will always pick a Democrat over a moderate Republican. I think that's the political reality for him.
And actually, independents have a tendency to either do what you just said and or they'll just stay at home, which I think the independents tended to do in the last 2 elections. And that's why we saw Romney barely getting what McCain had gotten against Obama in the previous presidential election. A lot of people just aren't impressed if they're not given a convincing choice. And conversely, Rand Paul beat the establishment in McConnell's state. So if they want to rumble, they got to keep that in mind. You're probably right about the general being his biggest concern, but I don't think he's looking past the primary yet.
No, he's not. But there's not been a candidate with Rand Paul won for many reasons, but the primary reason was he walked in with an organization that could rival his opponent, who was a Secretary of State or something, because he had his dad's organization that jumped on board with him.
And even more importantly, he had his dad's mailing list, which is really good.
Right, and for the money and the like. When I say organization, all those are part of it. So okay. I was involved in that campaign. I'm very familiar with it, and I can tell you that I talked to the the Secretary of State, I think he was, who could not believe that this upstart would beat him. And when people kept saying to him, hey, this is Ron Paul's son, he kept saying, so what? That was what cost him, because if he had taken him seriously from the beginning, he might have fought. But he didn't. He simply assumed and looked past it. You're right, McConnell won't do that, but he doesn't have a Rand Paul out there, frankly. Now,
Maybe not.
Let's go to our good friend Lindsey Graham, who has gotten things right one in a row and has come out against this gun bill. Your thoughts?
After voting to put it out for all this trouble. Now, by the grace of God, and in particular, human thanks to Senator Thune, we may still prevail because they so dislike the idea of the Thune bill, which probably would pass the House unless John Boehner continues to act like Nancy Pelosi and drag, which he did on the fiscal matter. And why I'm very concerned, by the way, that if the measure were to pass the Senate, which hopefully it won't, but if it were, and it goes to the House, I can see Boehner taking 30-some rhinos and going and voting with the Democrats and making it law. That's what he did on the fiscal cliff deal. Instead of getting an end to Obamacare with its invasion of gun owner privacy, which is a serious part of it and why we were so opposed to it, he could have gotten rid of Obamacare, and that was a big promise that he and all the Republican leadership, as well as all Republicans, were making. Send us to Washington, send us back to Washington, and we will get rid of Obamacare. Well, when? That was maybe the question we should have asked them. He had a chance. He let it go. He actually got nothing in exchange for letting Obama continue spending like a drunken sailor. So I'm not sure we have a firewall in the House, even though on paper we've got that majority, unless Boehner wants to take renegade Republicans and become the Nancy Pelosi and drag as he did on the fiscal issue.
Actually, he has 3 fewer facelifts, so perhaps he could fit into her panties. Chief.
I think
Maybe he could.
But both of you have described what is really the problem, and with very few exceptions like a Rand Paul or a Ted Cruz, 99% of the politicians in Congress don't give a hoot about liberty or the American people. They only care about getting reelected. That's it, no matter what happens. And so that's why Lindsey Graham has taken this position. It's not because he cares about the bill or guns or us or anything else. And like I said, with very few exceptions, the real rule of law in Congress is get reelected no matter what happens to anybody else.
And of course, Lindsey Graham is up for re-election. Now,
and guns is the big issue in South Carolina.
Yes, it is.
So, Chief, I think you're spot on.
Now, and my youngest daughter just got her gun permit this year down in South Carolina.
Yeah, I think a gun permit is not an option. It's expected and demanded of every man and woman in that great state, which I'm considering, by the way. I've seen all kinds of reports, and some may think these are diversions, but most people are saying this bill is dead. There's no way it's going to get through. That even if they got through the cloture, that unless Reid changed the rules, that they wouldn't be able to get the votes to pass it, and that a lot of the Democrats absolutely they will vote to let debate continue. They won't vote for this bill because there are 7 or 8 of them that would lose in the next election.
Right. We are blessed that 12 of the Democrats up for election in 14 come from Republican states. I mean, if a state will even vote for Romney, they'll vote Republican, right? And if you give them a real Republican, that Democrat's toast. And so that really forces their hands. And some of them, I think, we're going to find voting for the Second Amendment simply to protect themselves against an attack from even a halfway competent conservative challenger could really take a Second Amendment issue. And for Lindsey Graham, it would be in the primary. But for Mary Landrieu in Louisiana, she better watch out. That's a huge pro-Second Amendment state. And now she can't blow any smoke about, oh, I just wanted to have the debate and give people a chance to vote. Yeah, baloney. She was hoping that would be the path to defeat for the Second Amendment. But now she's not going to be able to try to confuse people with that, because the vote that's coming up that didn't happen today, that was scheduled for today, when it happens, it will be on the Toomey gun control bill, and she won't be able to dance around that on some parliamentary shenanigans. It will be on the bill. And then after that, it will be on amendments to the bill. And so, Ms. Landrieu and those in your corner, are you coming out to play?
And the other thing to remember is that when Landrieu was last elected 5 years ago, New Orleans was the center of Democrat cheating in the United States, where they openly took buses and gave people a new identity for each stop they made, and they were made 12, 15, 20 stops.
Of course,
there aren't enough people to do that, at least not even like they did it before.
Chicago, of course, but you're right. That's the trophy was there in New Orleans until Chicago won it from them. And you know, that's a real problem that Republicans have, unless we have enough of our volunteers, because we don't have municipal unions to go out there and have a sick day they can work the polls for their Democrat candidates. We are going to have to volunteer. We are going to have to take the time off of work and maybe lose pay because we weren't working if our job has us on that kind of a pay system. And this is going to be the only way to protect our liberty, is to be there at those polls, so when that voter comes a second time with a different ID coming in to vote for somebody else that they know is not going to vote that day, we can nail them.
Well, they just had a case where a nun in Ohio admitted she cheated, and then they just gave her, parole. So it's just, there's not even any downside,
No.
and that's wrong too.
That's right. We need to have some people in jail because, they were voting 3 and 4 times. How patriotic am I? Yeah, well, okay. Well, let's see how patriotic it is to be in jail. You're absolutely right. And we've got to insist. And sometimes Republicans are their own worst enemy. In Virginia, they've made it so you have to have an ID to vote. But, a utility bill with no picture on it can be your ID. So you could come in 5 times during the day, or 5 different polling places with 5 actual addresses on actual utility bills, and you could just vote up a storm. They have not insisted, and even though Republicans control the entire state government, they have not enacted legislation that says you must present a driver's license or a passport with picture ID in order to vote. It's just stuck on stupid is all I can say.
Well, it's just this aversion to being called a racist, and that's what it is, or a xenophobe, or whatever name the left is using. All right, let's talk about what's happening in California, where there was a big, I don't know what you want to call it, candid camera thing, where they have a guy going around asking Californians to sign a petition to ban private ownership of weapons and to demand the confiscation of all privately owned weapons. And they have people all over the place, just left to right, smiling in front of the camera, signing that petition, which of course was a scam, but it's got to scare you when you have people that are that stupid. I don't know any other word.
I'm just hoping that was done in San Francisco, because I shudder to think that it was done in some of the normal places in California that get overshadowed.
Wait a minute, did you say California and normal in the same sentence?
Oh yeah, you've got Representative McClintock that comes from a district.
Well, you're talking some of the smaller environments, but LA, San Francisco, Sacramento, 100% stuck on stupid, in my humble opinion. Chief?
Well, it's interesting, but I'm going to blame the right for this error, because we have let the left take over education, entertainment, and the news media. And so all of these people, all they know about what's going on anywhere in the world is the left's version of it. And we have got to get back into the business of educating the people who want to vote for us. They're not going to do it on their own. It's up to us to do that. And I think we failed in that area.
Good point.
Can't be argued. All right, let me ask you about what's happening in New York. They've passed these, frankly, laws that are contrary to the Constitution. They're
Right.
starting now confiscation. Are there lawsuits pending? What's happening?
There has been already one lawsuit, and obviously they're going to bring it using, among other things, the McDonnell decision, which overturned the gun ban in Chicago. And the initial confiscation involved magazines, and it proved the point that Gun Owners of America had been arguing all along against Obamacare, that it was a massive invasion of all Americans' privacy. But gun owners are particularly vulnerable because I think the guy had had a prescription for some kind of a sedative. I saw the name of the drug, and I wasn't familiar with it. But apparently he felt somewhat depressed, and this was a happy juice drug or something like that. The guy hadn't been convicted of anything, and that should be the threshold for taking somebody's gun away. In fact, putting him in jail should be the threshold, because we're going to let somebody out on the streets, and we think they're criminal. What are we doing putting them on the streets? Same thing if they were in a mental institution. We think they're dangerous. What are we doing putting them on the streets? Oh, well, they're going to take their meds. Really? They're going to take their meds? Don't we know what happens when they don't take their meds? So either we put them in an institution, or we let them out on the streets, but don't give us a bunch of gun control, because that gun control is not going to keep those people from getting a gun, just us.
Well said. All right. We have a lot of activity on guns now. We've had a major terrorist act take place. After 9/11, all talk of gun control kind of went away, because people said we've got to be able to protect ourselves. Do you see that coming back into play?
Hopefully that will be people's conclusion rather than the Mayor Dinkins' conclusion after the New York City knifings in the subway. So, well, that shows we need some more gun control. A logical conclusion would be just what you laid out. Wow, these guys will shoot for chaos, put a bomb somewhere, and then hope that maybe they can do other terrible things. It shows that we, the American people, have to be able to protect ourselves. Obviously, the government can't be everywhere and avoid every danger for us. The bombing should be a reminder that that is, in fact, the world we live in. So, to that extent, that the police cannot protect us every minute of the day, that obviously they will try to if they're in a position to, but 99 times out of 100, the crook is going to strike when the police are not there, because crooks are pretty clever. They're not stupid usually. They're just evil, and we don't even want to deal with that. We want to call them nuts. I want to call them evil. And you can say, well, this guy's paranoid, schizophrenic, or a sociopath. Nuts, he's evil. He wants to hurt people. I want to hurt him.
Well, my philosophy is exactly that. The best way to ensure that an evil individual who has demonstrated by perpetration his or her evilness, the best therapy is a 38 between the eyes. They're cured. They're not going to be evil to anyone anymore.
Right. It's an administration of a little element that seems to cure criminal tendencies for life.
Chief, is this in any way illegal? I just was curious.
Depends. So I'll say maybe, maybe not. Probably not. Depends. In Wyoming, I think it's legal. But I want to remind everybody that the left is not anti-gun. They love guns. They just don't want us to have guns. And they don't care how many of us get killed, blown up, assaulted, murdered, whatever, as long as they can control us by taking away our guns. That's their goal. Doesn't matter. Common sense will never come into play. Their goal is to take away our guns, and that's what they're going to do no matter what, unless we stop them.
Now, understand, it's not just how many quote-unquote conservatives or Republicans, because these people that were killed and maimed and devastated and traumatized were overwhelmingly, quote-unquote, their people. They don't care. They're like the Chinese that don't care if they have 1 million casualties because they got 1 billion backups.
I think that's exactly right. This is mission oriented. They don't care who the victims are. If anything, it might be to their liking because maybe that their thinking will make the liberals all the more prone to want more control, which plays right into the hands of terrorists and criminals. But then I repeat myself.
Yes. All right, we have just a couple minutes left. After you give how people can get your updates and support what you're doing, tell us what else you think we need to know.
Well, we're at gunowners.org, and you can sign up for the alerts that we send out to anybody with an email address that wants them. They're free. And believe me, it has been because we could communicate sometimes on a daily basis in the last couple of weeks. We don't normally do it that often. But when our back is to the wall, we send those alerts out very often in order to keep people posted with the latest development. Senator so-and-so said this yesterday, but now he's doing this today. Here's how you can get a hold of him, and here's what you can say to him to try to bring him around. And frankly, I think that's what helped us convince Senator Coburn that the people of Oklahoma did not want Toomey Schumer as legislation. And he voted wrong on breaking the filibuster, but I think he'll probably vote right on killing the bill. And that is clearly a tribute to the people of Oklahoma just continuing to contact his office. And there have been other offices where the same focused contact, first we go out and we say, your senator, by name, has been reported to be doing this, saying that, here's how you can help. By the way, Senator Toomey's office last week in one 24-hour period, I don't know how we found out, we just found out. But anyway, in one 24-hour period, 45,000 phone calls. Baby, their wires were melting. So the American people are still willing to fight for their liberties.
And I don't think that was 44,712 fans and a couple hundred adversaries. I think it was the other way around.
All negative.
All right. In the minute we have left, our next focus is which senator and or which representative that we need to make sure knows where we stand.
Well, if we can keep Senator Murkowski with us from Alaska, we could then get Senator Begich, a Democrat, from Alaska. And the same amount of heat coming from folks in Arkansas could help get Senator Pryor. Those are the two Democrats probably most likely to vote with us, but it's going to take just an overwhelming input like the Senator Toomey office had to make sure that we get some of those Democrats. There's going to be enormous pressure on those Democrats to vote against the Second Amendment. But it just might happen because those are increasingly conservative and Republican states. And if they poke their finger in the gun owner's eye, that could really hurt them for the next election.
Larry Pratt, Gun Owners of America, keep doing the great work and let us know as soon as you hit 1 million members, then we'll start working on the 2nd million.
I appreciate that. I'll hold you to it. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much. Folks, we'll be back shortly with Major General Jerry Curry talking about what we should do about North Korea. Can you spell nuke? I'll be right back. I like to eat. Do you like to eat? We all do. And usually we run to the grocery store, we run to the convenience store, or we have something in the fridge. But power's been out in parts of this country in the last few weeks. We don't know what's going to come down the pike economically. Smart people are putting in food. Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves is a line of foods that you can put away that will last for a very long time. You know, they say eat what you store and store what you eat. This is great tasting stuff, healthy for you, a full line. You go to our website, cpnlive.com, and click on the button for Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves and see all the different things we have. This is good tasting food. It's reasonably priced. It will last. And it's worth its weight in gold if a problem arises. I know you don't think there's going to be anything that goes wrong. Actually, you do. This is smart. This is smart insurance. This is smart preparation. This is smart thinking. You have kids, you have a spouse, you have parents, you have dependents, you have an appetite. All those things can be addressed by a frugal but smart investment in Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves. Try them out. You will be tickled to death with the taste of them. You know what? In many cases, people start to eat this and they think, heck, this tastes better and costs less than what you're going to the grocery store to buy. cpnlive.com, check it out. Hey, my name is Stan Solomon, and you know if I have something to say, I'll say it. And I'll only tell you the truth because I'm a Republican, not a Democrat. Democrats always lie. Republicans only lie half the time. I don't lie at all. This is the Fuel Mule. It's an extraordinary product that was developed by a friend of mine, an engineer, and it increases the fuel mileage on your vehicle. If you have a combustion engine, this will increase your mileage by 10 to 20%. It bolts around your fuel line. You can install it yourself or have your mechanic do it. It is an extraordinary item, and it flat works. I've been using it for more than 10 years. It's increased my mileage on every vehicle I put it on, and by the way, it will last forever. You can get rid of your vehicle, just take it off and put it on the next one. Go to cpnlive.com. You'll have more information there. You can order it right there. We absolutely guarantee you'll be satisfied. The Fuel Mule. It's a way to kick down your cost of fuel and kick up your mileage. Don't you love the name? I thought of it. The Fuel Mule. Let me ask you a question. Do you like being sick? I have in my hand an incredible product. It's called TR10 supercolloidal silver. TR10 stands for a trace to the negative 10th power. The particles in this silver product are 6 to 8 angstroms, 6 to 8 10 billionths of a meter. Now listen to me. Silver has been the magic bullet for all of human existence. The Egyptians used silver instruments. We use silverware. They put silver in your teeth because nothing can grow on silver. Silver will kill anything but liberalism. I'm working on that. This product, you go to cpnlive.com, buy 1 quart of this product. It will last you for a very long time. Anytime you feel like you've been exposed to something bad, take some of this product, spray it in your mouth, or take a little bit and gargle it, swallow it. It will kill any pathogen. The average antibiotic kills 10 to 20 different pathogens. This product will kill 700 plus. Do yourself a favor, do your family a favor, do your doctor a favor. He's tired of seeing you. Get supercolloidal silver. Go to cpnlive.com, order the product. It's $29.95 plus shipping. I think it's $39.95 delivered any place in America right to your door. It's worth 10 times that. Check it out. If you're not 100% happy, just return it and we'll give you your money back. Do you like being healthy? I do. In fact, this product, which I've been taking for years now, is absolutely the answer. Now, you may not believe it, but I'm actually 21, plus tax, of course. This product has 146 different healthful nutrients in it, and it's liquid, so it's bioavailable. It tastes great, and it's sugar-free. 1 ounce of Sonic Life each day will help you to maintain and enhance your health. It's a kind of a gift, well, that you'll thank your mom for, your husband for, your wife for, your kids for. Whoever you give it to, they're going to say thank you, and you are going to enjoy the benefits of having all the vitamins, all the minerals, all the nutrients your body needs in one very reasonably priced product. Just go to cpnlive.com and everything's right there. You'll be able to read all the ingredients. The price is right there, a flat price delivered to your door anywhere in the United States of America. Sonic Life is a gift, a great gift. Give it to yourself. I do.